project is about police brutality against black women. From the title page, as I mentioned from the title page, and to be honest, I never really knew about this problem. I mean, I knew there was racism by being an African woman, but I certainly had no clue that these women were being brutalized by the police. I just wanted to be part of the movement that exposes and raises awareness to stop this injustice. The problem dates back to racism and how being black is regarded as being a minority. And we know that in the past, men have always been in power compared to that of women, saying that women also could be considered as a minority group. So, as my friend said, a minority of a minority of a minority, which means as a black woman, we have no choice and no voice. Okay, so giving the stereotypes seen previously, I would like to mention real life cases in which these stereotypes were used to harm black women. So first, the mommy. There was this woman, Margaret Mitchell, who was regarded, who was homeless, and she wasn't regarded as a threat to her community. I mean, everyone in the community knew that okay, she was homeless. She was homeless. So and she was always minding her business, and all her belongings were kept in her shopping cart. So one day, some police officers were driving past and they saw her as a threat, threat, and they they decided to harass her because, according to them, she broke a law. She broke a law according to the business and professions section in California. And as they began to harass her, she started to run away because obviously, as someone is harassing you, you try to seek safety. So after she when she started running, they decided to shoot her, and she was shot and killed. Say that this woman could be considered as part of the mommy stereotype is because mommies are regarded as women that can endure pain, that they that they only look after, like, they're selfless. And so obviously, like, I believe that the police officer would have assumed, oh, she could endure the harassment, that she would bend to their will, but clearly she didn't. This case would be the case of Johnny Pratt, who was a respected woman in her neighborhood, and she was treated unfairly by the police officer, Officer Giroir. So basically, Joni was in her car driving, and then this police officer stopped her, and he's like, she should calm down. And then he assaulted her in the process. And then she said, she said that she was trying, like, everyone, if given the opportunity to fight for your rights, you would. So Johnny at that point was trying to say why should she get out of the car before he opened her door and dragged her out, which was clearly wrong. And then a relative of hers came out telling the police officer to stop because he said she was the wife of a police officer also. So according why and what I believe Joining would fall under the sapphire stereotype because sapphires are those who are very assertive, they're arrogant, they're violent, and probably to the police officer obviously, he said Joining was out of line, meaning that she was either rude or arrogant towards him, and that led her to be assaulted. He punched her, she was kicked, he even called for backup. I mean, so this is another case. This would be the last case I will talk about. So this woman, her name is Sharonizia Corley. She was 21 years old, and apparently she in broad daylight she was basically pulled out of her car, all because the police officers claimed that they could smell marijuana from her car. So they basically dragged her out, and then they were trying to check her her body, like they touched her and they inserted their fingers into her private area, which is regarded as sexual assault. And this woman I could say is considered as the Jezebel stereotype, because they always say that black women are promiscuous, we are hypersexual, or this we attract men, like basically saying prostitutes. So that was what that was what they did, which was wrong. Clear. So how I got to know about this video was about this issue actually was through the Kimberly Crenshaw intersectionality on TED Talks that my professor played in class. Watching it, well, when she was speaking, I mean, I knew about the male victims, but when she did the exercise where most of the audience didn't know the female victims, that's when I realized, oh, the problem was actually serious. So then when we got to the last clip of the video, the very last clip where they actually showed the images of these police officers harming, manhandling, harassing, treating black women like animals, that's when I realized that, oh wow, this issue is actually bigger than what it seems. And seeing that video made me realize that racism has come a long way, to the extent that people could say that racism is gone, there's no racism anymore, but clearly this is happening. This is happening right now in our society, and no one seems to be doing anything about it, and most people don't seem to know about it. And I was actually disappointed in myself, because being African, being a woman, yes, I should have experienced this, but I haven't. And seeing that done to my fellow sisters just made me very angry and very sad at the same time.
Hi, my name is Tolu.
So, how are you feeling today?
I feel good.
Okay. So, how did you feel watching the Kimberly Crenshaw video? How did you feel about the, like, okay, did you know that black women, like African or American women living in like America, Canada, did you know they were like being treated this way? Like, yeah.
Honestly, no. I mean, there's always the thought about violence against women, and when we hear people talk about violence against women, people are so angry. People are like, oh, how would you treat a woman this way? And then it just doesn't make any sense that the police are treating women like this and nobody is talking about it. Because, for example, when we talk about domestic violence, you hear people talking, they are so angry, they are so outraged, they're like, oh, women should be treated great, but then our police are not even doing the right thing.
Exactly.
And it's just, it feels like double standards, because the police can do it, but other people can't do it.
Yeah, like I get, cause like they have the authority to they have guns and everything, and being like a citizen or being a normal human being, we don't have that right. Like saying we can't obviously just shoot someone like out of the blue or something like that.
Being
And
a police officer
yes,
makes them
like
it makes it okay,
it makes it okay, yes, for that to happen. And another thing, like knowing like about like, okay, we all know that, okay, racism has always been something that we always think, okay, people, okay, we can say that people can say that is racism is gone, like there's no racism anymore. But seeing that video, because I myself haven't seen something like that before, and watching that video made me realize that, wow, like this is like, when you watch that video, be like, this is still happening like in the world. Like you think, oh, everything's right, but it's not. So okay, my next question would be, how did you feel like being a woman, being a woman, being an African? How did you feel like, if you like seeing like our sisters like being treated that way? How did you feel?
I felt really sad because it's like, no matter how, like no matter who the person is, even if you don't know the person, you still feel sad seeing someone treated like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just makes me so angry because people are being maltreated somewhere, and then people
Media.
like it's like nobody
It's not
cares.
yeah, nobody
like,
cares.
oh, they don't want to enlighten people. They don't want to make it seem
Make
like
it seem
their
like,
cops
yeah,
are bad, or they're treating women this
that
way.
they're doing the right thing. Yeah,
and
I guess
it's just so annoying, and it feels like injustice. It feels like oh, cause we're women, they're not bringing it out.
yes.
And then
And another thing I just realized that, like, you know how in like the world usually, like, men always have the authority. Like if you think our men always have the authority, and this is not a shade on, like, I'm not trying to throw shade on men, but like obviously, like, we know that men always have the authority. And being a woman itself, you can be like a minority group. Then being black again, like having been a black woman is like just like with
like a minority and
a minority. Yes, exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. So okay, my last question would be, how do you think the society, like, what do you think, okay, not only the society, like what do you think us, like the black community, like what do you think we can do to like stop this problem? Like what do you, any idea, like anything you feel like we can at least do, like help us understand, like how, in a way, how we can stop this, like how we can stop this issue?
I mean, what black people could do, we could just honestly just raise awareness. But there's actually not much we can do because we're not the ones with the guns. We're not the ones in the uniform. So I feel like the only thing that black people can actually do is to raise awareness. But I also feel like like on the side of the police people, I feel like
justice
they
system
they should be
investigation.
more picky.
Yeah.
Because you can't just accept anyone that is fit enough or someone that passes your training.
Yes.
You don't check if the person is racist. You don't check the person's values.
Yes.
You just take the person in. I feel like
Okay.
once you start analyzing people's values, how they feel about certain things,
Yeah.
then it will be really easy to pick out who you want to protect
Yeah.
people. Because in the beginning, it's everybody's like, oh, I want to protect people. Fine, okay. But like I feel like once you start digging deeper, some things don't add up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Because it's shocking how you can say a policeman, someone that has like basically dedicated their lives to like saving people, and then you're the one killing people, like killing a minority group, like people that don't have a voice. Like that's who you're, that's the people you're attacking. And the fact that like it's not only like, how do I say, we're not talking like, we're talking about different age groups, like innocent people, like from old to young to adolescents. We're talking about all these age groups, and like it's just like you're basically just trying to get rid of a whole race based on something that's something as evil like as racism. Like that's just too much. Like that's something that needs to be, so like, oh yes, I agree with you, awareness is the only, like basically the only, because there's actually not much. You can just try to raise awareness. So thank you so much for this, for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I feel like to stop this kind of issue, we would need to work on racism. Like we would need to work on how racism comes to the mind, because racism isn't something that you're created with, it's something that was taught to you. So we need to find ways to prevent people from hating another race, whether it's in schools, from parents, from your siblings, from whatever. We need to stop this hatred from people teaching this form of hatred to their children and to the next to generations to come. And also the justice, I feel like the justice system needs to be looked at, because clearly if a police officer is brutalizing an innocent victim, then it's obvious that there's something wrong. And if um a a victimized black woman takes her case to the court and then the judge doesn't listen to her, or says she's guilty, or says whatever, then we know that okay, the justice system is corrupt, and then it's something that needs to be changed. And the last thing I would like to add would be that the Crenshaw intersectionality video, at the end, after seeing the clip of the police officers harassing, brutalizing, doing what they usually do to black women, I was, and then the Say Her Name awareness campaign that was made after that, where she made the audience call out all the names of the victims. So I feel like that's what we need. That's more what we need today, because there are people in the world that don't know this is happening at all. Me being one of them. There's some people that don't know this happens in the world. So I'm trying to say that okay, we should see this more on social media. It should be put out in the news, because it should be put out in the news. It should be put everywhere for everyone to see that this is what's happening, because just one person can't make, I mean, not that one person can make a difference, but collectively as a group, as a society, we can, as a black society, as a black community, we can all make a difference.